Hey, this is Chris with RV Reboot, and we're putting in a continuous hot water heater. Made by Girard. It's a very good unit. Lots of great reviews on it. I think it'll work perfect for us. There's the old unit. We've already got it pulled out. Sorry we didn't record that for you. That one never got winterized last year and it busted like an aluminum can. If you want to come in and get a view of everything so they can see what's going on. We've got some water damage here. All of our frame is actually gone. There used to be a metal frame here about 1 inch by 1 inch wide. It's gone now, so I'm going to have to come back and put in some new wood here and a new brace here because the water heater is only 12 inches wide, 12 and a half. So that's what we're doing right now. I just jacked up the box because the box that it sits in is actually falling out. It needs to be resecured along the inside here on both sides. As you can see, all the screws that were holding it here are gone. I've cut them out, or they just rusted out and broke away. So, next step is to cut our wood down to the size we need and get it ready to install. Alrighty, so we got our wood cut here. We had to cut us a new piece for the bottom frame here to replace the metal that's missing. And we had to cut us a piece of frame here because our water heater, our new one, is not the size of the old one. So now I have to make a run to Lowe's, grab a couple angle brackets for this. I'm going to try to get one on both sides. Hopefully I'll have the clearance with the water heater over here to put one on this side, give it a little more strength, and possibly put one on each side down here also. This will actually give me more strength because I'll be able to secure my box that the water heater sits in to this piece of frame here, which is going to be attached to the steel frame that's already here existing. Got to get some self-tapping metal screws, a couple wood screws, which I probably already have, exterior grade, and I've also got to, come a little closer, got to move my water lines from where they are and bring them over here, and then they'll turn in and attach to the back of the new water heater like so. They'll come in angling out, which ain't too big of a deal. Power should be able to wire right in. It's got plenty of cord or line. My gas line here is going to have to come, it's going to have to probably be shortened, and it ties into the opposite side of the water lines on the water heater over here. So now it's time for a trip to Lowe's. Always fun.
Here's the water heater that we got. So we purchased these screws because they say they work on metal. But he's having to pre-drill every hole because they do not work on metal.
Nope. Up to 20 gauge they say, but that's probably a lie. So here you see the water lines. We're going to have to make them come over and then turn into the back of the new water heater. I'm also going to install a ball valve in the cold water line here. So in the future, if something was to happen and we have to replace the water heater or fix it or have it fixed, I can always shut this off and then I'll still at least have cold water. A lot of newer RVs have a bypass, is what they call it. This one did not, but it will now. So that'll be definitely helpful. Alright. So just come in with a quick snip. Like so. I'm going to reuse these ends right here.
What's the tool that you're using?
These are ratchet style hex cutters made by Brasscraft. Not really sure if that's a name brand, but it's a brand. So now, due to the space in this compartment here, don't have a whole lot of space. So I'm going to assemble my 2 water lines out here and make my last connect. Here's our cold. Boom, boom. About another 6 inches or so. So, our fitting. You want to be careful when you're putting these on. Make sure they're no further, about an eighth, a heavy eighth, a quarter max away from the end of the pipe. So once you insert it to your fitting, you're going to have that good of a seal right there, like so. You don't want it too tight like this because this might blow off eventually. But you don't want it too far back because it won't grab it enough. So, now that we have our line assembled here, now we're going to crimp it. This is a hex crimp tool. And we'll sharpen our 1/2 inch. When you're crimping these, you want to be very careful and very exact. You want to line it up in the center so that you can get proper crimping. You don't want to be off to the side or off to this side. You want to be right in the dead center. It's best to try and line them up as close to closed as you can, so you don't have to close it very much in order to crimp it properly. Like so. Get it tight on there like so to hold it. Double check everything, make sure everybody's together where it needs to be. See how if you get a little bit of space still. And then you crimp it. Yes, these things are tight. It takes a little bit of oomph to crimp them. And that is a crimped end. You want to see that mark right there because that means it got good crimp. Alright, now the next one. Back it up a little bit.
Can we hold it?
That's all right. Again, now at this point, I'm going to have to be very, very careful on this one due to the ball valve size. It's a little bigger than the crimp ring, so it sticks out a little more. So this one, you got to do it offset a little bit. So instead of being in the exact center, it's off to one side now. It'll still crimp, but you want to make a habit of not doing that. You want to try to get as centered as you can to get proper crimping. Now see, that could have been a little further out this way, but that's alright. Still got a little bit showing like here, but not too far out. Now, before I crimp this, I'm going to check it. Make sure I'll get all the way over to where I need to be. Which, yes, I'm going to be right where I need to be. Basically in line with this wall, because this is the side of the water heater. And the port is on the side wall bottom of the water heater. So we are good to go. Crimp away. Another way to do this is to slide your end out, or your crimp ring. Place your crimpers on them like so, not tight, just enough to grab it, and then you can slide it back to where you want it, like that. And now you are ready to crimp. Three down, one to go. All right, still make sure we're in line properly. That's open. That's my turn. This elbow coming this way has to be offset or backwards from your ball valve here. So, I'll do this again to show. Just line your ring up to the center. Bring your crimpers down. Close them on it, not tight. Just enough to grab it. Line everybody up. Line your ring up. Once you're set and ready, good to go. And now we have our coupling to go to the old pipe, our ball valve to shut it on and off, or a bypass. So if you have to work on the water heater, you can always have at least cold water. And you have your elbow to turn into the back of the water heater. Now we're going to take our old fitting from the original water heater. It's the same style thread on, thread off. Yep, same style thread on, thread off. I almost want to replace that ring right there. Be all right. Now this pipe's a little tighter, so my ring doesn't move as much. So I should be all right to just stick it on here and give it a good crimp, like that. Again, check everybody, make sure it's in there, make sure it's in. And voila. once we these older pipes on these RVs are really small and really tight. Eventually, long term, we're going to replace all of this old plumbing from the RV factory and update it to household PEX, residential PEX, commercial residential, just newer PEX. So now once we crimp our last crimp there, we'll be able to tie right into the back of the water heater, the new water heater. And we'll still have our ball valve accessible from the back panel, back here. So, now we're ready to do our hot. Alright, so we've got our water line ready, and I'm about to make my hot water line ready, but there's one issue. The crimpers have to open up a certain amount, and then they have to have full range of motion in order to squeeze it and get the proper crimp. So if I can't get my crimpers in here to crimp this one and this one, the last two, here and here, then I will have to purchase a shark bite, which is a push-to-connect water line connector. You can actually connect PEX to copper, copper to copper, CPVC to PEX. However, you can connect pretty much most water lines to any other water line using a shark bite push-to-connect. They're really easy to use. As long as you get a good seat and you push it on all the way, it won't leak. But we're going to go ahead and make up our hot line and get it ready. Now, I would probably recommend the average person measuring everything and cutting it to exact measurements just to make sure they get it right. I've done this for a long time, so not the biggest problem in the world. Look at that, that's pretty dang close. I'm going to shorten it a little bit, that's about it. Also, these water lines have a little bit of flex to them, so it can go this way a little bit or that way, or up and down and over a little bit. So, you know, even if you are a little longer or a little shorter, you should have a little bit of play to move it around to meet what you need to meet. Ring on here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Other ring on here. And my other fitting. Ring on here. We'll be good to go. So, as I was saying before, you might have trouble reaching your crimpers in there to get it crimped and having enough swing on the crimpers to actually crimp like that. Based on your water lines, where they come out, how they move, and also the material they are, I already know above where they next connect, there's a T. So I know that they're pretty solid. They're not going to just pop free. So I was able to pull mine out like this and get just enough on it to be able to crimp it. You might be able to, you might not. I'll now show you the same thing again on the red, if I can. So there's the connection, it's in. I'm going to try and pull it out here and get the wife to hold it if she can. Yeah, it's going to be too far. Alright, let me see it. Just back up with the camera.
You want me to hold it there?
I need you to grab it back here and hold it right there. Like that. Alright, now we have our water lines crimped and reinstalled, ready to go. So now, got to get our gas line ready right here, this little booger. It attaches to the back of the water heater on the opposite bottom corner than the water. So, what we'll end up having to do here is probably cut it shorter past this kink, put a new flared nut on it to attach to the water heater. And then we have our power. And we still need to finish our framing here. So now at this point, I'm going to go ahead and get our framing put back together here where it needs to be roughly. I checked my door to make sure that it is going to mount like so. And now I've taken my angle bracket and I have marked it on the side of where it's going to go on the 2x4. Pull the 2x4 out, and now I can easily put my screws or my fasteners, whatever you're going to use, on. Alright, now once you've got it on, sink it tight. Bang, bang, bang. That might not work. Some big old screw heads there. Yeah, that's too high. Yeah, it works better with the right bit too. Now, if you noticed, I put my screws in my bracket on the inside towards my water heater. There's not a whole lot of space here on the outside. If you have more space due to a different water heater, then you can mount it on the outside. Worst case scenario, I might have to come back, remove this bracket, and cut my wood out and recess the bracket into the wood a little bit. That way I still have my 12 3/4 clearance, plus I still have my bracket. But that's something that we'll find out later on down the road. For now, this is all that's going to work for us. That's what we need. Let's bracket out a little bit. Flatten back wherever I screw it. Set where I want. Now I'll pre-drill my holes because these screws are not metal, self-tapping metal screws. Just like so. Box of screws in. Tight, that's okay. Deal with a little tight. Voila! We have our top bracket on. Now when we bring our bottom bracket across, we will tie these together and good to go. We'll secure the box, the bottom of the box here to the bottom brace, and we'll be good to go. If you have to do something as much as I have in this one because of rot or rust or just damage in general, you might want to seek professional help. This would not be considered a do-it-yourself or at-home task. A little more involved than the average Joe. But if you like to do stuff your own, you like to do your own work, and you like to learn, by all means, give it a try. You can always have someone else fix it for you if you need to. So now we have our bottom brace in its position. Put this back in here just to see if it lines up properly. right now. And looks like we're going to line up pretty dang close, which is good to go. Chunks of rust is falling off. So to hold my bottom brace here in place, or at least hold it near in place for now, I'm just going to pop a screw into it right here, just to hold it roughly where I want it at. Measure my 12 3/4 again. It's going to be over like so. Still got a little twist in this, so I'm going to push it out a little further just to make sure I have plenty of space. And now we have our placement. So we've got our 12 3/4 clearance here. And we have clearance of 12 5/8 here. Now the unit itself calls for 12 3/4. I believe that is only so that you have enough space to get it in there and it's not too tight. I've already measured the unit and it measures at exactly 12 1/2 side to side. Now 12 17 seconds. And from the bottom to the top, 12 17 seconds again. It's 1/2 heavy. Alright, so now I'm going to attach this little flare right here that's on the bottom of my box to my bottom brace here. I'll pre-drill my holes. These non-self-tapping metal screws to secure the box to my brace. Like so. Now there's old holes here too from where the original screws were. Just because I'll come back and put a screw in each of them too, just a little extra hold. Alright, so as you can see, I've resecured my bottom lip here to my bottom brace all the way across. So now my box is good and solid. And now we should be good. And that should be, our bracing is nice and secure. Good and solid. Ain't going nowhere. Shaking the RV from this brace. So, no problems there. Nice and solid. Might tack me a couple screws in this just to secure it to it. And next we got our power and our gas line hooked up. And we'll be able to slide this bad boy in and crawl up under there and hook them up from the back side, and we'll be good to go. Trim piece here. Back to my brace, my bottom brace here. Like so. Like that a little bit. I might have to shim it a little bit. So, because of the slight difference from the original to now, I'm going to take one of these little shims here, and I'm using a composite shim because this is exterior. So I don't want to use a regular wood shim, because it will eventually deteriorate over time and break down. And we don't want that. So, this bad guy. And voila. Just like so. Piece. Stick it up on the gear. Keep everybody nice and tight. Beautiful. And just for extra measure, I'm going to pre-drill put 3 extra screws in it just to make sure we don't have no problems down the road. I don't want my little piece of trim here falling off while I'm driving down the highway. As you can see, it's still down a little bit over here. So I'll try to put a couple new ones in if I can. Metal seems really soft, so it might hold, it might not, but I know worst case scenario, what I've done here at the water heater with the new wood is going to hold. So no worries there. I ain't gonna pull up no more, but that's all right. Now maybe we can get our little piece back in here. And of course, this doesn't have to be on there, but for aesthetic purposes, we're gonna try to put it back on. All I'm doing now is scraping a little bit of the backing off of this fiberglass strip. This is just a little piece of fiberglass at the exterior of your RV. It's got a little bit of this, like a plywood or a particle press board, something like that, attached to the back of it. So I just scraped off a little extra, a little bit of the thickness of it. Pry this out, try to get this guy back in here. Break that little guy off. Just for looks, it's not doing anything as far as holding it in or anything like that, so it's not necessarily a big deal, but maybe one day we'll end up selling this. Somebody else might want it there. And voila, there she is. Well, I'm going to test fit, dry fit my door. I'll have to fix that. And there it is, beautiful. Fits nicely, a little bit of play. Awesome. And we're going to dry fit our unit. Fingers crossed.
Do you want to say where you got the unit from?
If anybody's wondering, if the wife wants to know, we purchased our Girard on-demand hot water heater, or water heater, from PPL Motorhomes, based out of Texas, I believe. Really nice people, very easygoing, they're very helpful. Alrighty, looks like we're snug on our sides here. Looks like we're going to be slightly tight right here. A little bit of finagling, and she's going to go right in. Worst case scenario, I'll take these little screws where these are at, and I'll just drill me a little hole in my wood, or just notch it out a hair right there with the sawzall, something like that. And she'll slide right in. Nobody said it was going to be easy, huh? Yeah. She will fit. Might have to adjust it a hair, but no worries. Alrighty, and there she is. Now if you're wondering what I had to do, because at first we were a little too tight, so I had to remove 2 screws. These 2 screws out of the unit. This is just the screws to hold the back to the body. So these 2 screws will be okay. Girard themselves tells you if these panhead screws are causing a problem, you can remove them and pop rivet it back together so as you don't have a head sticking off. But I won't have to do all that. I've got just enough space whereas I can finagle it and wiggle it, and there she is. Slide it back, crawl under, hook up the water lines, the gas line. The power will already be hooked once we're putting it in, but that's it. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy.